across Europe. Coming up, government to hold national dialogue on the economy to find practical solutions to its challenges. Vice President commissions 3 million ton capacity rice processing plant at Sogakopa in the Volta region. The Electricity Company of Ghana assures customers it is not relenting on efforts to improve service delivery. Bulk oil distributors vow to go to court to scuttle what they say is the handover of depots of the bulk oil storage and transportation company to a Nigerian firm. And rainstorm disrupts end-of-term exams for schools along the coast in the central region. And coming up in business, inflation for March is at a 4-year high of 14.5%. We also have sports, showbiz, and international news. The news begins presently.
News at 8 with Israel Live.
The very first story, the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors is set to go to court on April 10 to scuttle the execution of a contract between the Bulk Oil Storage and Transport Company and the Specialist Laboratories, TSL. The BDC Chamber's action is the latest step in its campaign to, as it puts it, prevent the management of Ghana's national petroleum stocks and highly sensitive strategic reserves from falling into unproving hands.
The Chamber, which has concurrently petitioned the Chief of Staff and the Energy Minister, says it would be petitioning President Mahama on Monday to stop the contract, it says, which contradicts the call to champion local content. According to the bulk oil distributors, the deal also violates Ghana's local content laws and also lacks transparency.
Under the current arrangement, TSL is to invest up to $10 million on CCTVs, SCADA systems, flow meters, tank gauges, and gantry upgrade. Well, we have not been privy to a thorough inspection by a boss because we've not even been allowed to. But from where we stand and the fact that we have made investments, we do not see why we would have a situation needing $10 million. That easily seems inflated.
Officials of the distributors indicate with its current membership of 17, it has a capacity of 270 million litres compared to the TSL's 55 million litres and would therefore vehemently fight against the deal and rather see the turnaround of worst.
Why TSL? Why not even open the process and let us compete properly? Why will you use the taxpayers' money to facilitate and promote the business of a foreign-owned company? We want BOSS to do well. As a matter of fact, BOSS facilitates our business, and we are not opposed to the idea of wanting to outsource. We fiercely oppose any act by state agencies to pass opportunities to foreign or foreign-owned companies when indigenous capacity exists.
The Chamber is also calling on other groups and organizations to join in their clarion call to pursue the promotion of local content.
The Electricity Company of Ghana says it is continuing to implement projects and initiatives to enhance the quality of service to its customers. Addressing journalists at a media workshop organized by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission on its metering systems, officials also highlighted steps being taken to address customer complaints more promptly and reduce system losses to acceptable limits. They also called on the media to help in educating the public to avoid practices such as meter tampering that negatively impact on the distribution system as a whole.
The workshop was to enlighten journalists about metering of electricity and the inherent challenges such as theft of power, which leads to significant losses. The journalists are, however, customers as well, who also experience the same difficulties all consumers endure, and so took advantage of the platform to give some feedback to the ECG.
Where I live, fortunately, some of us have the meters installed in our compound. I don't know why, but they are not on the post. In the same community, they are outside the compound. Now, when you talked about monitoring, something was running through my mind that if for any reason these prepaid meters are faulty, because wear and tear obviously will affect the calibration system, and so it may either consume more or run slow. How soon do you change some of these meters? Is there a timeline, or you just assume that a customer will come to complain? So the issue of what somebody asked about, whether the billing system is accurate, that's what I want to.
The ECG officials took turns to address some of the complaints, promising to investigate others they could not readily find answers to.
Back we get is that people have a perception that till you see somebody, you wouldn't get it done. We get calls every day. What we tell people is that go through the process and see. And those who have tried it have seen that it is working. You see, it's because we had that perception. Yes, we've had cases where sometimes materials were not available. And that has changed our timetable. But now everything has been put in place to ensure that materials are available. People are working. So the system is working.
ECG Managing Director William Hatton Mensah said the company is taking serious steps to address system losses.
In areas like Teshi, Botiano, we are embarking on what we call system loss reduction and network improvement projects. And basically what we are doing in these areas are that we have replaced the meters there with prepayment meters and have installed them on poles. We also have re-engineered the networks there, and we have injected a lot more transformers in those areas, so the areas have transformers that are loaded to about 70%. We are not loaded them to the maximum capacity, so that we're giving some room for whatever expansion or the further development that will happen in those areas. We have also improved upon the voltage levels in those areas for the customers, and we have increased revenue in those areas, and our parameters also indicate that we have also reduced losses in those areas.
He says the ECG will continue to engage the media as well as its customers as part of efforts to improve its service delivery.
The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, meanwhile, is still holding on with implementation of a recent increase in electricity and water tariffs approved for the second quarter. The PURC deferred implementation of a 12.06% increase in electricity tariffs, which should have come into effect from April 1 because of current supply challenges, which has resulted in a power rationing program. Public Affairs Director Nanaya Jantua says though the utilities had indicated there was going to be an improvement in the electricity supply situation by yesterday, April 8, not much has happened.
Monitoring the situation, when we finished the tariff, we said that because of the load shedding and the burden on consumers buying other alternative sources of energy, there is the need to just defer the implementation of the tariffs. We did the calculations using automatic adjustment formula, and we arrived at a certain increase, but we didn't pass it on because we didn't want to overburden the consumers. And now the load shedding is still on. I mean, we haven't seen any change in what is going on, so we need to monitor it carefully, and at the end of the day, it's when everything is done or is minimized that we will pass it on. There was some improvement in the system, but now we are still having reports of some load shedding going on, so we need to see that it is totally minimized. We are still monitoring because the utilities gave us 8th April at the time that most of the plants will come on board, so we are looking at the situation, studying the situation carefully.
And what are you picking up from them as to the reason why the plans they were expecting to come on are not on?
No, they haven't told us exactly what it is, but we are waiting because you see, when you finish with the work, certainly you have to do some form of pre-testing to ensure that everything is all right. So for now, we are still waiting to see what it is.
And our continuing coverage of the expose on the Savannah Accelerated Development Authority, we focus on payments made to various consultants as highlighted in the audit report on the authority's operations. Monies allocated to SADA are meant to improve the lives of the many residents of northern Ghana who are suffering extreme poverty. But the audit report said huge sums of the funds were doled out each month to consultants who were wrongly recruited and who had very little to show for their fat paychecks. Manasseh Azria has more.
The Savannah Accelerated Development Authority is not an implementing agency. SADA acts as a coordinator and facilitator, so its projects and programs are carried out by service providers and not officials of SADA. Management's explanation for engaging consultants is that SADA had only a skeletal staff at its inception and needed qualified technical staff on short-term basis. Documents available to Joy News, however, reveal that the consultants were not engaged only at the inception of the authority. The consultants were also not engaged on short-term basis. For instance, SADA currently has a full-time director in charge of resource mobilization, but it also has a consultant for resource mobilization. A recent audit report on SADA secured by Joy News questions how the consultants were selected. According to the report, the consultants were selected without going through public advertisements. The report says the audit team could not cite profiles of the consultants, and SADA also failed to provide details of their activities for assessment of their competence. It concludes that the action by SADA has blurred transparency and could compromise value for money and facilitate financial abuse. Another issue raised by the auditors is the huge amounts of money paid to the consultants on monthly basis. For instance, Dr. Charles Jebuni, who consults for SADA as Chief Technical Advisor, is paid almost 20,000 Ghana cedis every month, making him the highest paid staff of SADA. SADA also pays Bakari Sadiq Nyari, a director at the Lands Commission, 10,800 Ghana cedis every month as a consultant on land issues. The authority pays Kennedy Mohammed 7,500 Ghana cedis every month as a consultant for resource mobilization, even though he has not mobilized a PESWA for SADA since his engagement. Besides, SADA provides him with the tools to work, including a 6,000 Ghana cedi laptop computer. Another anomaly detected by the audit team is that SADA deducts only 5% instead of the 10% tax it is supposed to deduct from the consultancy fees. The audit report concludes that the consultants are a drain on the financial resources of the authority that is meant to alleviate poverty within the SADA zone. For Joy News, Manasseh Azore Arene reporting.
Manasseh Azore filed that report. Now, there will be more on our investigative series, and they are available on myjoyonline.com. It is also running on radio as well. Now, students and pupils in several schools along the coast in the central region are having to write the end-of-term exams in churches following a major rainstorm that hit the area. A number of school buildings and other structures are currently inundated and uninhabitable. The National Disaster Management Organization is meanwhile yet to provide relief items to the rainstorm victims.
The rainstorm affected a number of school buildings as well as other structures across the coastal belt of the central region. While roofs of buildings were ripped off, other buildings collapsed as a result of the violent nature of the storm. Hundreds of people rendered homeless at the moment are having to put up with friends and relatives, while the National Disaster Management Organization is housing affected persons in churches and school buildings that were not affected. At Elmina, Abakam and other adjoining communities, students who were to start exams today had to be accommodated in churches. Ebenezer Fosu Atapane is the head teacher at the Futu Mampong MA Basic School in the Cape Coast metropolis.
There was a rainstorm, and all of a sudden it raised the roof of the primary school and dumped it somewhere. At that time, fortunately, the primary session had closed, but the JHS were around. But nobody was hurt. Seriously handicapped because we are starting exams and the classrooms are not ready. The community has volunteered and the carpenters in town are now trying to patch things out, and that is our problem now.
While NADMO has not been able to provide any relief items to the victims, some of the communities, with the support of their MPs, have mobilized some resources and assembled artisans to rebuild and help clear the mess. Stephen Morrison Arthur is the SMC chairman of the school.
We mobilized our carpenters and masons here yesterday. They started work because we are anticipating another rainfall. So we want to finish everything. But the materials brought, we are not sure we'll be able to complete some of them had to lodge with their friends. But they have not given us anything, but they have assured us that it affected so many villages within the municipality. And they told us that they were going round, but we shall hear from them.
These things are going on.
In fact, we are not comfortable because the school has now received some materials, but they're the individuals. And even the school, we are not sure what the materials will be enough for.
The affected communities are still appealing to NADMO to come to their aid.
The Minister of Health, Sherry Aite, has announced that the maternity and children's ward of the Sunyani Regional Hospital will soon be upgraded into a specialized hospital. Sherry Aite made this known at a stakeholders meeting of the Ghana Health Service at Sunyani in the Brunahafo region.
Sherry Aite was meeting with civil society organizations, heads of departments and MMDCs in the Brunahafo region. She stated the government has already purchased assorted medical equipment worth $7 million for the Sunyani Regional Hospital, with another $5 million worth of similar equipment supplied to the various district hospitals in the region. The minister observed it has become necessary to expand and upgrade the two wards due to the extent of overcrowding there at the moment. She says a team of experts will soon be sent to the hospital to assess the situation and advise the Ministry of Health.
So we will be constructing a new maternity block and a children's block to support the services of the regional hospital. And this will be upgraded to a specialized hospital.
Sherry Aite appealed to the district assemblies in the region, traditional rulers and other stakeholders to support the community-based health planning and service program in order to improve access to basic health services. The health minister later inaugurated 5 polyclinics in 5 different districts constructed at a cost of $10 million. Sherry Aite also visited some clinics and health centers within the Brunahafo region and interacted with the nurses and midwives. She later told Joy News in an interview the ministry is in talks with the various stakeholders in the sector on whether or not to scrap the health trainees allowance.
We have engaged the leadership of the union of nurses and midwives. We have engaged the leadership of COHETI, that is the principals, the teachers. We have engaged the leadership of the Ghana Registered Nurses Association, the Ghana Nursing and Midwifery Council. We are talking to them, because it is important to understand why those allowances were introduced in the first place.
Nesta Kafuya Joma filed this report from the Brunahafo region.
We have more news coming up after the break. Stay tuned. Government will, by the end of June this year, hold a national dialogue on the economy. Vice President Kwesi Misayansa, who announced this at Asoga COP in the Volta region, said the dialogue will be a comprehensive and dispassionate conversation among politicians, the media, labor groups, industry and the likes to find practical solutions to issues confronting the economy, which he describes as complex. He reiterated the impacts of the wage bill on government finances and said the discussions on the economy should not be reduced to partisan rhetoric or ultimatums by pressure groups.
The need to address the public sector wage system also is because it is affecting government finances in a fundamental way. It also affects the competitiveness of the private sector. The important issue there is the need to provide incentives for quality people to be retained and to be employed in the public sector. In the last week or so, there have been significant number of discussions. There's a danger for me that the discussions can deteriorate into a partisan debate. We need to avoid turning the future of this country's economy into a discussion between pressure groups that either issue ultimatums or people that seek confrontation. Stakeholders including all the political parties, the employers, the labor movement, the academic community, the civil society groups, the media, all of us need to get together to discuss so that we can guarantee the continued growth of our economy and we can guarantee the provision of infrastructure that the private sector is asking for so that they can do the kind of investment that we see here. And we can also increase the employment of people who come out of our schools. The point I'm making is that the issues that we face are complex and require dispassionate discussion. We need to reach consensus on the immediate steps that we need to take to rebalance our economy, and we need also to agree on medium-term goals. So in discussions in the economic management team, the President has agreed that before the end of the half year, before the end of June, we should have a national discussion on the path that we have selected in the economy. This national discussion should be open-minded and should be done without preconditions. Already, the Finance Minister has started the process of reviewing the trends in the economy in order to provide an assessment for this. And we hope that we'll be able to do this national debate, national discussion on the economy before the Black Stars go to Brazil to win the World Cup, so that by the time they come back, we would have reached consensus on the major issues facing us.
Members of the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly are challenging the continuous payment of waste management company Zoom Lion for various services. They want the Assembly to stop the payments because they say Zoom Lion's contract is long expired. The MCE, however, denies this.
Issue came up during the MCE's address on some payments made to the company for services including fumigation, sparking agitation between members of the Assembly during the ordinary meeting of the 4th session of the State Assembly in Cape Coast. The Assembly members claim there is no evidence of such services in their localities. The angry Assembly members would not listen to any plea and demanded that Zoom Lion refund all monies paid them since the expiration of the contract until a valid contract is signed. But the Metropolitan Chief Executive, Priscilla Ahin, maintains her predecessor had a contract with the company.
They went to Common Fund Administration, and at the moment I have a paper with me. My predecessor signed a contract on the 10th of December 2011. That is a new contract. Therefore, I now have the agreement. We're going to go by the agreement, when we will ensure that whatever is in the agreement, we'll make sure that they do it.
In another development, the MCE has inspected ongoing projects in the metropolis, including the stadium and Kotokraba Market project, to acquaint herself with progress of work. The MCE, who was impressed with work done so far, hoped contractors would complete it in good time, explaining the projects are very dear to the people of the metropolis.
The Sole Commission on Judgment Debt has advised a petitioner demanding compensation for lands acquired by the State Housing Company in Adentang to revisit the case in court. The Kataban family had sued the Attorney General, the State Housing Company and one other individual over lands they bought but had not been fully paid for.
Petitioner Benjamin Bedukwe, lawyer for the Kataban family, went to court in 1994 claiming a 70,000 Ghana cedi compensation for the Adentan lands of about 400,000 plots. The State Housing Company is said to have paid 10,000 Ghana cedis after the court ruled in favor of the Kataban family. The family's lawyer told the commission they kept pushing for the remainder of the amount for close to 19 years, only to be informed that a judgment had been set aside in 2013.
It's now sub judice. Have you gone on appeal against the ruling? I have not gone on appeal against the ruling. I have not gone on appeal. Frankly, I was so angry that I don't know what to do to go on appeal against. After 19 years and after a lot of deceit, the people have paid the money. That's the reason why you should go on appeal? Well, my clients themselves are so angry, you see, and we have gone in to file an application to strike out their defense because In the defense which they filed, they did not dispute the fact that they are those who are benefiting from the constitution, from the acquisition. In the ruling itself, the judge himself considered that they are those who are collecting the monies, not the government of Ghana.
Managing Director of the State Housing Company, Dr. Niakwe Ankra, told the Commission the company did no wrong, explaining that the petitioner rather failed to follow due process.
We engaged the services of external solicitors to look at it, and we had a feedback, and the advice was that the process or the procedure adopted by the applicants were not right. So I informed the board of directors, and it was agreed that we challenge the judgment, and we filed an application to set aside the judgment, and we were successful.
The Kataban's family lawyer told the Commission they are prepared to pursue the matter until they are fully compensated.
The Environmental Protection Agency is to embark on an educational campaign on the environment aimed at making people environmentally responsible and effectively dealing with contemporary environmental challenges. The agency organized a workshop to review the new environmental education strategy. Kifty and Apia has more.
In 2013 and 2014, the country recorded unprecedented environmental occurrences. Dead whales were washed ashore, and the president, alongside school children, observed Independence Day enduring a heavy downpour. The occurrences attributed to climate change have, among others, highlighted the need to take a much critical look at environmental protection. The stakeholders meeting was to review the EPA's 22-year-old educational strategy and fashion out implementation modalities. Executive Director of the EPA, David Amlalo, told the technical review team to make monitoring an integral part of the strategy.
There's need to include monitoring and evaluation mechanisms so that all stakeholders can keep track and monitor implementation. For the agency, this is a time for stock taking on how it has impacted on the Ghanaian environment and evolve new ways to improve the work of the agency. It is in this light that we urge you to work hard to come up with implementable and cost-effective strategies.
But Deputy Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Dr. Benes Hello Adiku urged the EPA to pursue reclamation bonds from both large and small-scale miners to ensure the availability of funds to cater for the environment.
Presently, only large-scale mining companies put down reclamation bonds, and this is something unacceptable. To address the precarious effects of galamsey activities on the environment, our sector minister has directed EPA by way of policy to take reclamation bonds from all companies involved in small, medium or large-scale mining activities that require new environmental clearances or renewals for their activities.
She said the policy document, when completed, should be translated into local languages for better propagation. In a speech read on her behalf, Minister of Education Professor Jainana Opokwajimai said children must be targeted. She added it is imperative for the policy to focus on sustainable development and how it can be integrated further into the educational system.
Children are more receptive to change and are more likely to acquire the skills for environmental management and to develop a deep and lasting concern for the natural environment than adults. Besides, the children we see today are the parliamentarians, the directors, and the heads of departments and decision makers tomorrow. They will not only inherit the responsibilities of looking after the earth and take decisions for the betterment of the environment, but they comprise nearly half the population. Furthermore, children all over the world are highly vulnerable to the effects of environmental degradation. Therefore, involving them in environmental management through environmental education in our schools will safeguard the future sustainability of any actions taken to improve the environment.
The new educational strategy by the EPA forms part of the agency's stock-taking after 40 years of existence and the agency's quest to be more responsive to modern environmental needs. Gifty Andropia, Joy News, Accra.
A 3 million ton capacity rice processing plant has been commissioned at Soga in the Volta region. It is hoped that community-private partnership will help gradually wean Ghana off rice imports. Commissioning the project, Vice President Kwesi Bekwemi-Sarata charged traditional leaders across the country to venture into similar partnerships to speed up development in their areas. Gifty Andropia again reports.
Sometimes your body wakes up.
The community-private partnership concept, as explained by both sides, is an avenue for traditional leaders to directly partner private institutions to undertake commercial ventures that are mutually beneficial. In this partnership between chiefs and people of Fievie traditional area and the Ghana Agricultural Development Company, the paramountcy provided land whilst the company made the other investment. Co-founder of GADCO, Talks Abimbola, said the rice mill currently churns out tons of rice onto the Ghanaian market and is now aiming at a 5,000-ton target.
Over 2,000 acres of rice twice a year. We are delivering 10,000 tons of rice into the markets. We are employing over 200 people in this community and transferring technology from Brazil to Ghana so we can continue with our own people. We are not here just to make money for ourselves. We are here to make money for the community and to include the community in wealth creation. We are going, sir, to 5,000 hectares as a minimum in Ghana. We are going to mobilize and work with 5,000 smallholders. And we are going to be producing 50,000 tons of rice a year in the name of Jesus.
Paramount Chief of the area, Togbi Amata Agama IV, tried to convince the gathering that rice produced is of world quality.
On my recent trip to Europe, I made my wife to carry samples of the rice. And wherever we went and it was cooked, it received standing ovation. And I'm believing that you would market Fievie rice field. Our rice is one of the best you can find in the world.
But representative of the smallholder farmers, Kofi Atakli, raised some concerns about their relations with the company.
They have extended their hand to the outgrowers, but I think they should do a little bit more. They should not always be looking at areas like Afipa, Huawei and others. It's good to look at those areas, but the area that has given birth to you, you have to be mindful of it. Fievie has got only 46 outgrowers as at now, and that is not on.
All speakers, including Deputy Trade Minister Nilante Vanderpoy and the Volta Regional Minister Helen Ntoso, spoke about the job opportunities being created for the people there, urging for fair play between the partners. The Agric Minister Clement Homado said subsequent agreements will consider some cash inflow avenues for the district assemblies to enhance grassroots governance. On his part, Vice President Kwesi Bekwemi-Sarata urged the companies to properly consolidate the capacity of the over 600 small-scale farmers with whom they work to enhance productivity.
I've heard also, Toby Chairman, that this project aims at expanding grain supply through smallholder farmers and linking these smallholders into a competitive rice market through the Copa Connect program. I'm also told that the project currently partners over 600 smallholder farmers, and that the irrigation of the land and the cooperation with the smallholder farmers and the community is admirable. The organization of farmers into associations and cooperatives will need to be supported so that it can become a model for the rest of our country. With the formation of farmer-based organizations such as you have here, it is easy to reach the farmers with appropriate input and support. And I'm happy that the Minister of Food and Agriculture has pledged the support of his ministry for this effort. We will, as a government, continue to encourage the promoters of this project, because this project has to succeed to become a model for the attainment of food self-sufficiency. Toby Chairman, this is not the time to make a long speech, because the most important issues have already been addressed. It is the time to commit to providing practical support to make the project succeed and contribute to improving the lives of our smallholder farmers. But a number of issues have been raised.
The Fiavie traditional area freely gave out lands for the project on condition that the community will be entitled to 2.5% of annual profits by the company. The Vice President also inspected another rice mill in the area, the Brazil Agro-Business Company Limited at Menu, before rounding up his visit there. Giftian Dopia, Joy News, Sugakope, Volta Region.
Hello there, time now for some business reports with me, Abigail Adumakuenchi. Now we'll start with inflation, and for March is at 4-year high of 14.5%, up from 14% recorded in February 2014. The high rate is attributable to high utility tariffs as well as the increment in petrol prices, which resulted in high transport fares.
The monthly inflation change for March was 0.9% compared to the 1.1% recorded in February 2014. The non-food group recorded an average year-on-year inflation rate of 19.2% in March 2014 compared to a rate of 19.0% recorded in February 2014. Again, housing, utility, gas and other fuels recorded the highest rate of 43.8% among the non-food group, shooting the inflation rate for March to 14.5%.
Housing and utility, that group contains the electricity and water, which prices we have seen went up very high. So that group, and also transportation. You see, I can say that if you take the utilities and then the electricity and the water away, and you take the transport fares and other things away, you can see that the inflation in Ghana will not be as high. But those are the major causes of the inflation now. See, and they keep on coming. See, so that once they keep on coming, then they are the same factors that are affecting inflation in Ghana every time.
For the Ghana Statistical Service, the pressure on the exchange rate with the consistent cedi depreciation also impacted on inflation. The service is, however, worried the continuous hike in inflation will result in high interest rates, which will affect investments.
See, no interest rate come out without the consideration of the inflation rate. And so if the interest rate is going out, it's going up. What will happen to the amount is that people who go to borrow from the banks to invest, well, it's the out of the people investment that they employ people, and then out of the employment people get money and they increase their standard of living. So when the interest rate is going up, then people who go to the bank to borrow, because the high interest rate, they will not be able to borrow as much. So the level of investment that should happen in the country, it will not happen. So when the level of investment that's happening in the country will not happen, the level of employment that will also have to happen in the country will not also happen.
The food and non-alcoholic beverages group, meanwhile, recorded an average year-on-year inflation of 8.2%, 0.7 percentage points higher than the 7.5% recorded in February 2014. Abigail Admakunchi for Joy News.
So the Statistical Service is saying that the economy has grown, and the revised GDP estimates for 2013 shows the Ghanaian economy grew by 7.1% compared to the final estimate for 2012 of 8.8%. The Ghana Statistical Service attributes the fall to the declining agricultural sector coupled with a rather high level of imports.
Services sector recorded the highest growth of 8.9% in 2013, followed by industry, which grew by 7.0%.
The activities that showed strong growth in the services sector in the fourth quarter of 2013 financial and insurance activities with a growth rate of 18.3%, information and communication 12.8%, transport and storage 11.1%, public administration 10.8%.
The agricultural sector recorded the lowest growth rate of 5.2%, although the estimates show an improvement in the growth of the sector compared to the 2.3% experienced in 2012. The agri sector's contribution to the economy continues to decline, with its share reducing from 23% in 2012 to 22% in 2013.
Crops and cocoa has grew by 5.9%. Livestock grew by 5.0%. There was no change in the forestry and logging subsector, and fishing grew by 5.8%. In the industry, we didn't see any change between 2012 and 2013. So these are the areas that we should be focusing our attention, and also continue pushing to get livestock production up. So I think we can do better as a country.
Philomena Nyako also recommended that farmers be offered minimum prices to encourage them to produce more and boost the agri sector. Meanwhile, the change in the 2012 GDP figure will require revision of the current budget deficit, the GDP to debt ratio and per capita income.
We'll move away from statistics and go straight to the Tema port. Now, the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana has expressed its displeasure at an ongoing decongestion exercise at the Tema port aimed at clearing all non-perishable goods at the port for public safety. Although the association backs the exercise, it says it was not consulted before the exercise began on Wednesday.
The decongestion exercise will see the clearance of reefer containers at the Tema Harbour, which contain frozen chicken and cow legs that have been more than 200 days at the port. Owners of the containers have up to 3 days to clear them. Importers and exporters support the action to clear the port of these perishable cargoes to prevent any health hazard, but they disagree with government's position to decongest the port of non-perishable goods within 10 days.
To the best of my knowledge, there was this Ship Owners and Agents Association in Ghana did a presentation. They tried to engage the media to do some certain discussions, and they made mention that containers from frozen food importers have been sitting in the port for the past 200 days. And now, for the over 200 days that containers are sitting in the port, it has when those containers or those meat is being cleared to the public or out there, you and I are going to consume such a meat, and which is not the best to the health of us.
Samson Asakli said the importers and exporters were not consulted about the decongestion exercise.
The second paragraph, what it's talking about is now, they are now saying, government is now saying that, oh, from today, that is taking effect. If you have a cargo that is being a car, being chlorine, being spare parts, being fridges, being TVs, or whatever at the port, that you have not cleared within this 2 weeks, as they are saying, ultimatum that they are issued, you will forfeit your goods. And I think I want to make it clear, because I know if the government got the opportunity, they will say, oh, the executive secretary is even aware of it because we have discussed with him. And I'm saying that I was only told on the reefer containers, but to what they are not adding on, we or me, I'm not aware of it. Now, they are not giving 2 weeks, that even if your car is sitting at the port, from today going to 2 weeks' time, if you do not pay to clear your cargo, you forfeit your car, or you forfeit your spare parts, or you forfeit whatever you imported and you did not clear after these 2 weeks. If these 2 weeks catch you, they will confiscate it.
He also asked the government to minimize the import duties to enable importers clear their goods on time.
So keep trusting Joy Business. To keep you updated with business news, my name is Abigail Adumakunchi. Sports is up next.
Now, many other talent shows that Ghana has seen over the years. Brasserie Kwakwa, a local comedy talent show by Andom TV, can boast of the multi-talented contestants it has unearthed.
Nancy, why is stubborn? It's my mom for teachers a blah papa. Blah me ready say me blue. Into me fucking me simus me di diabo. But let now mama me blah wow. No come wow. No be who so be who.
Sekoko brings together talented comedians who are facing it off for the ultimate prize over a period of 8 weeks. Already, the competition seems very keen. The selected comedians are undergoing a series of performances which include satires, sketches, stand-up comedy with an audience setting and live band music. Enjoy some excerpts.
Constipation! Affection. Nobody. Hey, Timohu, Obibewo. What bomb papa. Constipation to family. What bomb papa. Hey, constipation to I was seeing Gobi. Cardinal mathematics. So what Hannah so 8 mediatum 100%. Simply because Bakuni. Anyway, since I'm the cardinal in the also you have 4 cardinal points. Bakuni 1, 2, 3, 4. Eka weyu saying 8. To me ya better tata. I not talk one day me tata. You want to go me ya baba. Check janka. The come what please project. Oh, Pat, Chakondo, Mowoni Afro, Papa. Come on, I have you. Draw me play. Me now, all because of hunger.
Sekoko is an initiative of Multi-TV's channel, Adom TV.
Oh, me the radiatio, atia don't go, what I mean, Pemwa. Oh,
That'll be all for showbiz. That's it for the bulletin. Before I go, though, a quick run through our top stories. Government is to hold a national dialogue on the economy to find practical solutions to its challenges. The Vice President has meanwhile commissioned a 3 million ton capacity rice processing plant at Sugakopa in the Volta region. The Electricity Company of Ghana is assuring its customers it is not relenting on efforts to improve service delivery. Bulk oil distributors vowed to go to court to scuttle what they say is a handover of depots of the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company to a Nigerian firm. And a rainstorm has disrupted the end-of-term exams for schools along the coast in the central region. That'll be it for the bulletin. My name is Israel Lion. Have a good evening and thank you for watching.